Welcome to VGM Highlights, a set of videos in which case I'm going to be talking about music in relation to video games. Some of which are made for video games, some of which are made for promotional purposes, and then there are the songs that, while not made for a game, are added to a game. Now for the first of these, I'm going to go into the Touhou Project series, talking more in relation to various music made by the fans, the community. And while most songs from the community tend to be with remixes, arrangements, and interpolation, the songs I selected for this video are 100% original, inspired by the Touhou Project series, used by the fans for their own games. The first of these is Kagura Dance, which is the main theme of Defiant of Shrine Maiden. Now, I'll be honest, I have not played this game. However, I did see a promotional video for it, which features a song. And although I can't confirm whether or not this is used in-game, there is still something about it that I think is worth talking about. I do find the song to be mesmerizing with the vocals. The instrumentation complements the voice very well. There's something very, in a sense, haunting and spiritual about it in terms of execution. And an interesting thing to point out is how not only how much of a strong presence the vocals have, but also how the beat, which I think is a trap beat, just works with the song in general. Really a good way to emphasize the very spiritual element of the fantasy world that is Gensokyo. As for the lyrics themselves, it's a bit difficult, various different translations, and it does come off as esoteric. But the most basic description that I got as far as what the lyrics are supposed to be, it's about how the Shrine Maiden's duties are never done, in which case the main protagonist primary protagonist, I should say, to the series, including the fan games, is Reimu Hakure, who is a shrine maiden with deity-like powers to preserve the safety of Gensokyo. But yeah, this does relate into the more spirit side of what this fantasy world has. And I do think that this song complements that very well. Next, I'm going to be talking about the music in relation to the Kamajo Densetsu games, which if you buy them through the eShop on console will call it Kamajo Remilia. This is a series of fan-made Touhou games that, well, can't call it series because it's just two Touhou Project games that uses various motifs and aesthetics from the Castlevania series. Very nice blending of the two different two different series into one game. Well, two games in this case. First one being Mystic Amnesia and the second one being Afraid. Both have a lot of things in common, such as the use of soft, breathy female vocals, which some people may love, some people may hate. I think it complements the song very well and works great for an intro song. As far as vibe goes, as far as instrumentation, it's interesting. One thing I noticed is that there is piano work with Mystic Amnesia that gives it a bit of a foundation, but can be easily missed if you're not paying attention to it. Whereas Afraid uses electric guitar, makes it kind of like a blending of soft rock and harder rock, given the direction that the guitar goes, which is more noticeable and more prominent. Both songs also use violin, which is probably a more obvious instrument, but with Afraid, the guitar is definitely up front and center on that one. Now, lyrically, it's weird. Mystic Amnesia seems to be about forgotten times, nostalgia, and broken promises. Though at the same time, that could be a misinterpretation on my end, especially with how unusual the lyrics are. Like, it's kind of poetic, but also kind of not. It's a hard thing to describe. As for Afraid is more straightforward in that because of who you're playing as. Because in the first game you're fighting against Servant, and then you fight her master, which is a vampire named Romelia, of course. And in the second game you're playing as said Servant, and the song itself can be interpreted as either from the servant's perspective or from the vampire's perspective, from Amelia's perspective, as I read one person comment, which is an interesting thing to look at it, and does make sense. Could be afraid for um, bad influences and stuff like that, but also afraid for another person's safety. So that does seems to be a good way to, as an intro, a good motivator for what the character is going through. Of course, though, interpretations can be off, and honestly, I kind of got the same thing as other people have said in relation to what the song is supposed to be about. But yeah, and by themselves are interesting songs to listen to. So yeah, that's what I have to say in relation to both intros to the Kamaja Densetsu games, aka Kamaja Ramilia. Next up, from the climax of the game, at stage 8, the third phase of the battle, is Rose killing Carmilla, which is also referred to as Carmilla the Rose Slayer. Now, as far as battle music goes, especially when it's a climax, I usually favor something that has a call and response to it. But this is a more of an interesting point. Like, there's a lot of violin work. The vocals, instead of being soft and breathy, are like more dominant and threatening. And even when performed calmly, there's a sort of quiet threat to it, which is interesting. More confidence in it. Although in the middle, the song does get a little bit softer and quieter. A little bit different with the vocal performance, but this could be more in relation to the servant who's basically stuck having to fight her master, who's gone mad, and the song ends up being a great reflection of that madness. At least I think it is. And one thing to note is that I also find interesting is that although it does get quiet and there is that moment where there is no singing to, like I said, the softer vocals, which may be a reflection of the servant having to do what she doesn't want to do. But at the same time, there's also a nice build up in there, going back into like the very thing that makes the song powerful and prominent and dominant, I should be saying. One thing I did notice upon multiple listens, including those where I got my butt handed to me when playing the game, there's a lot of bells and chimes that are used throughout the song, which is easy to ignore, but at the same time, I believe that without the bells and the chimes, the song would be a lot empty and a lot less grandiose. So like it is something that like really complements the song very well. Very dynamic, very dramatic. I would say perfectly fitting as this for an intense boss battle music. Especially when the boss is a character who's basically lost his mind, thanks in large part to the influence of a demon tree. It's a normal thing for Touhou Project and Gensokyo as a whole. So, as far as ending songs go, Fatal Bile, which also seems to be referred to as Fatal Bite by some, um, is an interesting song in a lot of ways. It does feel like an ending song should in terms of vibe and flow. Um, a lot of guitar. There are some guitar use there, especially towards the end, where like using an electric guitar for a bridge. The vocals are a lot softer than with the previous song, which makes sense. You know, this is an ending song, and it seems to be about love and devotion, though in a rather unique way, which is fitting for a game where the storyline revolves around a vampire. So yeah. Um, but yeah, a lot of cymbal work in the song, which is not distracting. Actually does well. Like a lot of the instruments really do complement each other. Some synth sounds here and there, such as I forgot what it's called, where it's like a sparkling showering sound, which is kind of sound I'm surprised that it used in more conventional love songs more often. But yeah, there is something there that's it's a curious song. It's a curious kind of love song that also, in a sense, kind of feels a bit demented in a way, given how the lyrics are. But at the same time, given what the servant has to go through, it makes sense. You know, servant being named Sakia. So yeah, that's the end of my videos. 5 songs from the community of Touhou Project fans, what they made for their own respective games. A lot of songs that I say stand out by themselves very well. This was a video that was intended to be at the end of January, but there's been audio issues, and I didn't want to just rush things out, which is why this is released now. Though it would have made more sense to have this released exactly on Valentine's Day, given the themes of some of these songs. And I do hope that I can at least get the next one out by the end of February, which is only a couple weeks from this recording, at the date of this recording, rather. I will only use one song related to the Touhou Project communities in the next video. I will also be including needle drops and the like, seeing how there's a lot of popular songs that do get put into a game. And while many instances it doesn't really work, there's also instances where it does work and complement the game well. So yes, more fan-made songs. Um, but that's only gonna be one song. There's gonna be a needle drop I'm gonna mention, and a few others, many of which are gonna be unrelated to the Touhou Project series. So I will be talking in relation to other game series as well. Now that said, I am Austin, aka Neko AV, and I thank you for watching.